Are people signing up for your free challenges and workshops, but ghosting you when it comes time to hear about your program? Does it feel like you're pumping out low ticket offers, but still not seeing people ascend into your higher price programs, only for them to turn around and buy from someone else? Annoying, right? Or are your team or you caught up in draining DM sales conversations that end with people saying that they just can't afford it, or with them completely blocking you? Listen, you're running a business, and that means that you can't spend all of your time with people who have zero intention to buy. And you wouldn't want that anyways, because you're an expert with a mission to transform lives. And you can't transform the lives of people who haven't made that change a priority. But that's a conversation for another day. And you're banging your head against the wall asking, what gives? Now, the cold, hard truth, and you may not be ready to hear this, is how your audience is buying or not buying is on you. You determine how your audience treats you and buys from you. Sure, that might sting a little bit, but the good news is that means you control the situation. If you want people to buy from you, you get to determine that and set up your strategy accordingly. If you want people to cheer you on and call you inspiring, but to buy from someone else, that's also on you. And in this episode, I'll share with you how to condition your audience so that they're buying from you, so that they can come into your world on a Monday and buy from you on a Wednesday because they came in full well, ready and eager to buy, and your system set them up to do just that. So let's get real. Now, hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. This episode is going to hit home for you because the reality is, regardless of how long you've been in business, regardless of your level of expertise, the reality may be that you're seeing that people are buying slower, or that you feel like you're putting in all your effort and energy only to not see that reciprocated in a sales that you want. And the truth is, it's a lot easier to solve than you may think, but it does require you to take a step back and really look at what's happening within that process that's leading you to get more people who are freebie seekers, people who sit on the line, who aren't actually ready to make purchasing decisions. Now, the reality is, nobody wants to feel like they're convincing people to buy from them. So if it feels like you're dragging your audience, like I used to drag my 18-pound Shih Tzu poodle to go for a walk, the reality is you've conditioned your audience to need to be dragged. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. And I had a client come to me the other week and say that she was feeling frustrated and annoyed because her clients were sucking her dry. She was beginning to feel resentful for all of the time that she was spending on calls in the group, and they weren't actually doing the work. So I asked one simple question: what expectations have you set? She looked at me and said, I don't know. Here's the deal. We set expectations for how our clients treat us, how our potential clients treat us, and heck, how our family and friends treat us. It's only by establishing and holding those expectations that we actually see things change. Chances are your audience didn't come in out of nowhere and ask you for freebies. Your team didn't come in expecting to get a million days off whenever they asked. Your clients didn't just start messaging you a million times a day out of nowhere. There was conditioning that led to that behavior. It may have been small, almost unseen moments that compounded over time. Realistically, we conditioned our audience and our clients on what we would or wouldn't tolerate. And especially in the buying process, people look to you for how you lead them. From the very first time they meet you, you are conditioning them for how they will see and treat you. So when you ask them to join your group where they can get thousands of hours of trainings, or when you tell them to DM you to get free advice, or when you open up your calendar for free coffee chats or coaching calls, you have trained them to treat you like the expert ATM they can withdraw from whenever they need something. Let's let that sink in for a minute, because that reality will change everything about how you actually run your business. Now, the other day I saw a post on Facebook where the person was poking fun at her audience, saying how they wanted to make five-figure days, but only wanted to pay $33 for her support. Now, after doing some digging, as I do, what I found was that everything she was doing in her marketing, from the first time somebody met her to every step thereafter, was letting them know that a $33 offer was all that they needed. So, of course, they believed that they should be able to get the results they want from that $33 offer when everything she'd ever talked about was pointing to her $33 offer. The reality is, everything we do conditions your audience on subconsciously what actions you want them to take from the very first interaction with you. Many people have learned to condition their audience to be content consumers, freebie seekers, and lurkers. This is why right now you have an audience full of lurkers rather than buyers. It's why your sales cycle takes forever and you feel like you're constantly having to build your audience and fill your pipeline. And it's the main reason why so few people in your audience are actually buying. You see, this frustration and feeling of being taken advantage of can permeate all aspects of your business. And it's honestly one of the biggest reasons for burnout and cash flow stress in your business because it sets off this chain reaction that you're constantly feeling this pressure to create more offers to meet these lurkers and low intent clients where they're at to hopefully, fingers crossed, get them to start buying. And there's a ton of advice out there on how to solve this problem. But as always, I'm going to keep it real. Most of the advice of what you're seeing out there is also what actually created the problem to begin with. Start a Facebook group or school community and flood them with value and then turn it into paid. Low ticket offers are all the rage, and all you have to do is get people to get to know you so that they can finally buy from you. Or hey, let's run another 3 to 5 day launch where you pour every ounce of your genius and energy into letting people fall in love with you. Now, let's take a collective sigh of relief because that's a lot of information, and people sure want to give you advice in hopes that you're going to hand them over some money. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret on this free podcast right here. All of this advice isn't just confusing and contradictory, it's also misleading. The reason people aren't buying is actually really simple. It's because you've conditioned them not to buy from you. Harsh but true, and hear me out. Instead, you've taught them when it comes to your business, they should enter your space as a freebie seeker and that they should take and consume and practically suck you dry of information with no intention of buying. And let's name that pain point or desperate broke language marketing for exactly what it is, a short-sighted strategy that maybe gave you a ton of cheap leads, but always catches up with you because it only attracts more desperate and demanding people who want you to solve their problems immediately, or they're going to go and submit a chargeback. What a surprise. Yeah, I get this is frustrating, but it's also really freaking refreshing to know that you hold all the cards. You get to decide what people will and will not get your time. You get to decide how people will and will not treat you. You get to determine how quickly or how slowly people get to the finish line and say yes to working with you. You are in control. I want you to hear that and let that sink in. So here's the truth. People who are brand new to your program, your method, or to you can buy your high ticket program in a matter of hours if you learn to condition them to buy. And it happens from the first hello. The way that we actually do this is by creating intentional and strategic systems that marry your marketing and sales and creates a way that conditions your clients to see you as the incomparable and only solution that they come to buy from, not just hang out and watch your content for free. Now, think of it this way. I want you to think back to your childhood. Think of a teacher, a coach, a band or theater director, some adult who changed your life. I want you to picture them. Got them in mind? All right, great. Now I want you to think back to a teacher or a coach or a director that was maybe just a little bit bland, boring, or nothing memorable. They don't really remind you of anything, and you probably wouldn't even remember them if I hadn't asked you to do this. Now, you've got those people in mind. Maybe it's a little bit foggy, but you've got it, right? That's okay. Okay, now I want you to ask yourself, what's the difference between these two people? Why was one life-changing and the other so forgettable? My guess is that the teacher who was forgettable created an environment that was unintentional and lacked standards. And because of this, they conditioned everyone around them to just coast and do the bare minimum to perform at their most lacking. Now, on the other side of this, I'm guessing that the teacher who was life-changing, the teacher who went above and beyond, they were the teacher who saw something in you and strived to bring it out. They were the ones who cared. They were passionate about their craft. And I'm guessing that you may have sometimes even hated that teacher because they frustrated you. But at the core of it, I bet you they demanded excellence out of you and your peers, and that they created an environment that nurtured and brought out that excellence out in you. And slowly but surely, they conditioned you to see the potential in yourself, and they conditioned you to learn how to do whatever it took to bring that potential to life. You see, as thought leaders, as coaches, as service providers, our job is to create an environment, a process that conditions our clients to become their best. That is the power of conditioning, that the environment you create without you even having to say a word already starts to bring out the best in people. And I want you to begin to understand that this is conditioning. This is demanding excellence. It doesn't have to start when your clients start to pay you and sign into your programs. It starts from the very first moment that they see your content, their very first introduction to you. So the first question you need to answer is, how are you setting that tone? How do people see you from the very first moment that they meet you? And on the other side of that is, how do you actually want people to see you, to treat you, to interact with you? For me, I want them to instantly see my innovation. I want them to have their minds stop and think. I want them to experience a shift, and I want them to see me and my method as the solution to an evergreen problem, a problem they've been struggling with for so long. And I ensure that by setting up my content, my bingeable system, and any other entry points so that people know exactly what I stand for and what I want them to see me as. So, how do you go from seeing you as the expert authority and thought leader to handing over their cold, hard cash to work with you in a matter of hours? It starts with you looking at the end in mind. So now that we understand that we need to set the tone of that first interaction, it's time to start looking at the entire process of what really sets the tone. What is your intention for where people ultimately land? This is that second piece of conditioning in your audience. The reality is, many of you have created a marketing maze full of detours, dead ends, twists, and turns, from the dozens of freebies that you're putting out to different offers every month. And oh, yeah, here's a link tree with 10 different things to look at. No wonder your audience is spinning in circles. Our goal wasn't to give our potential clients whiplash on their way to yes. And yet it's that whiplash that leaves them twisting and turning straight to a no, or let me hang out in your world with some more time and consume every low ticket and free offer you have because I'm not actually prioritizing this problem in the first place. That's why I'm okay with going down your marketing maze. But I digress. The goal was to make that road to a yes feel so dang easy. It feels like they're following a treasure map. So let me ask it again. Where do you want people to eventually end up at the end of your treasure map? For my clients, I want them to land in Sustainable Profit Academy, my high touch scaling mastermind, a place where I can support my clients in developing their innovative advantage and their own innovative gap methodology, and where we can create an entire messaging strategy and map out how they actually apply their methodology in a full blown marketing system that tackles the individualized buying triggers within their audience, creating weekly client acquisition opportunities without ever launching, and a bingeable sales system, this Netflix style evergreen system that creates raving fans while they sleep and ultimately drives their legacy business by creating the delivery systems that create a happy client machine and gets their clients world-class results at scale. That is my ultimate destination, where X marks the spot in my treasure map. So I have one single road that leads with that in mind. So it's easy to take small steps back to see how they get to that singular endpoint. The step before that is that they get on a call with me so that I can ensure that it's a good fit, that I believe that we can get that person results. And before that is my bingeable sales system. Every step is intentional. Every step is clear. Every step compounds on the next one. There's no twists or turns. And even though I have multiple offers that people can move into based on their specific businesses and what they have in place, the pathway never changes, because it's on the call that I determine the fit, that everything else can remain the same. And my audience, they understand this process. They've been conditioned into it from day one. They know that every action they take creates a reaction in my business. They know that every piece of content is setting them up to make a decision. They understand this. They're not fearing it. They're not feeling pressured. They know what they're coming here to do. They know that when I run a poll, that action and their responses creates a direct result. A training that I create that speaks to what they voted on, they are getting buy-in. They have the buy-in to engage, to show up, to buy from me. And each piece of content in my strategically planned content puzzle is conditioning. They come to my DMs with the intent to understand how my method applies to them. They come to calls to validate and ensure that yes, this is the solution that they need, even if that means that it needs some time to get there. It feels easy. It feels natural. It feels like they're doing exactly what they wanted to do. All the while, I know that I set them up for this. My intent is clear. No bait and switch, no tricking, no chasing, no convincing, just two adults who come with an intent in mind. And where I lead this incredible human to where they want to go. Nobody shakes their head and thinks I'm pressuring them. Nope, they feel excited and eager to take each next step with me. This is the power of an easy yes. And this is why my clients come to our calls crying, saying, I just can't believe it. Everyone I talk to is saying yes. They're thankful for me, my method, and my program. They can't wait until I share how they can work with me and pay me. And that's a far cry from when we first started working together, where this client had a team of two setters and a closer, where she was churning out content left and right, where she was spending thousands on ads only to have a list full of people who weren't buying. Her business was staying afloat with referrals and clients who were continuing to work with her because, of course, she was amazing. But she was tired and frustrated and drained by all the time and energy she was pouring into getting people to buy from her. So if you're shaking your head knowing you have found yourself with a list or audience of lurkers, people who take from you with no intention to buy, where you're starting to feel resentful of all the resources you're putting out there to slowly getting unready or unqualified people, knowing you're the expert, your clients are raving about their results, and you just want more or better clients that can continue changing the lives of, this is the power of the Easy Yes method. I can't say it enough. So, in that second step, what you really want to be able to look back at is I want you to understand what's the final destination, that X marks the spot that you want people to get to, and what are the subsequent steps that need to happen so that you're conditioning your audience to say yes to working with you without any hesitation whatsoever. And for my clients, it starts by becoming the one and only, the incomparable solution, because you're not in the business of being one of many solutions. You're an expert. And your innovative advantage is what creates a true market of one. It's not about competing for attention. It's about making that competition irrelevant, where people are now coming to you knowing that you are the only and incomparable solution that they've been waiting for. We do this by helping you develop your innovative gap methodology, which targets those ready buyers and showcases your innovative approach as the only solution to high end buyers. This step alone allows my clients to 5 to 10x their prices and have clients lining up to work with them. The second step is to actually automate sales. We want to automate that decision process as much as possible because your future billion-dollar brand understands that you are not your sales system. Your team is not your sales system. Our bingeable sales system automates high ticket conversions so leads can actually sell themselves using the Netflix effect. No pressure, just accelerating the natural decision process that they go through so you can say hello to financial freedom and pre sold clients without feeling like you're pushing people every single step of the way. And the third and final piece is changing the world because transformational businesses have world class reputations that stand the test of time. They build these success infrastructures that ensure that their client results will stay the same at scale. This is the magic behind having pure profit in your business so that you can turn your clients into raving fans who become your most enthusiastic sales team and stay with you for years to come. So, if you're ready, if you know that this next step for you is that you want to be able to create a pathway that conditions your audience to feel like saying yes is the only logical solution, I want to invite you to that next step to book a call directly with me. Our growth optimization call will do a few things. Number one, you and I will sit down, we'll look at what your current process looks like and exactly where the biggest opportunity points are for you to be able to develop a system that gets leads to sell themselves. I'll then, if it makes sense, share with you how the EasyS method can be applied within your business and how we can work together to do that. No high pressure tactics here. We know what we do is so powerful. So we leave that decision up to you, and you don't even need to make a decision on the call directly. Talk about creating an environment of easy yes. We eat, sleep, and breathe this. So if you're ready to book your call, head on over to easyesleads.com/call to book your call today. But if you're new around here and you want to learn a little bit more about how this EasyS method works to actually get leads to sell themselves using the Netflix effect, I want to invite you to check out our new mini series that breaks down exactly how the EasyS method gets your leads to sell themselves using the Netflix effect. Head on over to easyesleads.com to check this out now. As always, we would love and appreciate if you could take just a quick second out of your already busy day to rate and subscribe the Business Real Talk podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. And if it makes sense and there's a friend that you know could benefit from what we've talked about here today, we'd love if you shared it with them. This helps us intentionally support experts being able to change the world. So until next time, here's to keeping it real.